Hi, Kanisha. Hi, so spirit. What does the collective need to know? Thank you for joining. So I feel like spirit wants me to talk about how isolating it can be when you are vibrating at a very high level of consciousness. It's it can almost feel never ending. It can almost feel like your efforts and all the things that you've been through have been in vain, but it's absolutely going to pay off. And doing the work now is what is basically sets the stage for the near future. So, like you being the one to set your boundaries and protect your energy and spend time alone, that's going to be important, even though like other people aren't willing to do that. Other people don't have the intestinal fortitude or confidence to do those things because they feel like they have to be a part of something, or they have to be surrounded by other people, or they need validation from other people. And I know that we talk about things like that a lot, but spirit really wants to communicate that that is a very significant thing. Like, we don't really acknowledge how difficult that is because we're in a human existence and we're in vessels. And when you're in a vessel, there's just things that naturally come with being in a vessel. And I've talked about how the divine doesn't move or operate or even think from like emotion. They move from divine guidance and wisdom and logic and from their heart space. So there's a difference between like emotion and your heart space, because true, like, yes, we have emotion because emotion is just like one of the five senses. Like, it comes with the nature of being in a human vessel, just like gravity. But operating from your heart space is that unconditional, like, I'm not gonna fuck with you, but I'm going to love you enough not to like wish harm upon you. I'm gonna love you enough not to use all of this power against you, because when you're operating from a very high level of consciousness, when you have a high spiritual rank, you can burn this bitch down. So, I mean, can we just have a moment of silence for the fact that there are a significant amount of reincarnated ancient beings who have the power to burn this bitch down, but because of the love that they have for humanity and, people they are, connected to lineage wise, they will choose the higher road and choose not to. Thank you for the follow, Faith Chris. Um, and so I think that, like I said, we take a lot of things that we do for granted, and we kind of downplay the amount of faith it takes to do certain things. We downplay the amount of strength and courage it takes to do different things. And I think for very powerful spiritual beings, because you agreed to come here to take on basically the trials of the world, and because you have had to navigate so many difficult things, so many traumatic things, and we're talking about over multiple lifetimes. So yes, when you come, every time you incarnate into a new vessel, your conscious mind is wiped of your memories, but your subconscious mind holds those memories. It's your subconscious mind that is directly connected to source, because that is the part of your brain that source downloads the information to run your body on autopilot. So it's that level of intelligence that is separate from your conscious mind, because if source was downloading how to keep your heart beating through your conscious mind, we would be fucked up. We probably live like 2 minutes, because your conscious mind cannot handle the level of intelligence that is held in your subconscious mind. But that also means that your subconscious mind is connected to your Akashic records. And so you have, when you do meditation, and when you calm your conscious mind and you tap more into that subconscious, and when you have a kundalini awakening, and you're basically seeing life through the lens of your subconscious mind and all of the wisdom that you've accumulated over the ages, and all of the direct downloads from source, that is how we're able to then like tap into a whole other realm of existence, even within a human vessel. Good evening, just Jaden. So So I really feel like Spirit is saying, like, if you're the one that chose to just be at home and protect your energy on a day, especially like today where there's, um, people gathering who like don't really fuck with you, or people gathering who pretend to be Christ-like or Christians and don't they're very mean spirited and hateful, and find different ways to try to burden you and um, create like feelings of pain and abandonment and rejection and all those things. Um, I feel like spirit just wants to give you some encouragement and give you some love and just let you know that it's not always going to be like this. You're not always going to have to be alone. But if you, one thing about it is that like when you choose to incarnate, meaning you have a higher spiritual rank and you are a pure-hearted individual, meaning that in a past lifetime when your heart was weighed on a scale against the feather of Ma'at, you ascended into like higher realms of existence. When you come back here, your energy does not change. Your energy is not like the things that you have been through is not karma that you're having to work out. 9 times out of 10, you're working out karma for your bloodline. You're doing the work for people in your bloodline and your family and people around you that you've incarnated with multiple times. You're doing that because they refuse to do the work. And spirit is like, we have to get this cleared. You know, it's like if you work in a job and like let's say you're a mechanic and they're like, we have a huge contract. We just got the contract for the state vehicles. We just got a contract for all law enforcement vehicles in the county. And we need the 5 of you to be on that team exclusively because we cannot trust these accounts with any of these other motherfuckers. Yeah, they can fix cars, they can change oil and shit like that, but they're not operating at the level that you're operating at. You have a proven track record of dependability, trustworthiness, reliability, honesty. Like, we can't have people in certain positions that are going to cut corners and are lazy and are going to lie. Because what if you have these state vehicles, these law enforcement vehicles, and they have to be repaired, and you got people that are half-assing it and cutting corners, and some vehicle like the tire comes off and the shit flips and injures the person driving and other people on the road, like that creates a huge liability for not just the state agency but the before it basically creates a huge liability for both agencies, for the agency that is maintaining the car and the agency that is using the car in their fleet. And so when spirit deploys energies to come here to clear bloodlines, to clear karmic, to issue karmic justice, to clear karma, to do all these things, it is not because you're being punished. It's not because you did anything wrong in a past lifetime. It's not because of any of those things. There's a difference. There's a clear, distinct difference between people who have to work out their own karma and people who are working out the karma of others. 9 times out of 10, the people who are working out the karma of others are those people who are still going to be pure hearted no matter what they go through. And those are the hardest journeys to travel, because you have situations where you have to like be able to alchemize the energy that's being sent to you, because people will really truly just hate you for being authentic, for being a good person, for not allowing the trauma that you've experienced to have you projecting onto other people. And so the more that you share your wisdom, the more that you share your testimony, the more that you talk about the things that you've been through, the more people are going to hate you, because there's going to be two different types of people. There's going to be the people that resonate with you, that want to learn from you, that look up to you as maybe like a leader or a mentor. And then there's going to be people who are like, well, I went through the same thing and I'm hateful as hell. I went through the same thing and I have created all this chaos for myself in life, at work, and with the family. And so, Spirit is like, we apologize for you having to go through all of that, but we really don't apologize, because you were the best person for the job. And they're saying if we had sent anybody else in your place, they would have fucked it up tremendously. And there's nothing worse than sending people into a space like Earth, to where Earth desperately needs high vibrational energies to fix this shit. And you send people in here to fix it and they just fuck it up, and they just like join the forces that are already creating havoc and destruction and chaos. Thank you for joining. Please like the live. Please repost the live. And Spirit, I feel like Spirit is saying that it's important to cry and to release when you need to do that. And it's not about being soft or being a crybaby or being too emotional, because that's a form of release. That's a form of cleansing. That's a form of alchemizing energy. Because if you bottle that energy up within and you don't allow it to be released from you, then that is what creates stagnancy and chaos within. And so, like, whatever it is that you have to do to release, to alchemize the energy, whether that's going for a walk or crying or screaming or exercising or writing, meditating. I think that because of traditional religion has really created an environment for us where it's difficult to have faith, because all of this seems like woo woo, and make believe, and a lot of people just go through the motions of like religiosity is just a routine and something that they have um always done, so it's like it feels weird not to. So like if you grew up in a church, or you were a pastor's kid, or your family was just heavily involved in all church activities, and you grew up going to church on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever, and that's just ingrained in you, and that has become a routine. But routine doesn't mean that it's like having a positive effect on your life. It doesn't mean that it's creating um like victory in your life. And so in order to be able to truly walk in your power, there has to be like intention behind what you're doing. So if you're truly like setting the intention for change, setting the intention to do things differently, you will eventually begin to see the change. It's not going to happen overnight. There may not be like this miraculous situation that occurs that like right after you talk to your spirit team about something, that is automatically going to shift. But there's when you set the intention and you ask for support in whatever it is that you're doing, and you maintain a level of faith in the fact that whatever you're asking for is going to be heard and granted, that is what is most important. And I feel like the people who have the biggest assignments, the biggest purposes, they're the ones who get talked about the most. They're the ones who have people talking shit to your face. Because, like I said, even though consciously our conscious mind is white when we come into each lifetime, our subconscious mind is still operating from that higher level of consciousness. And so people innately know things about you that will cause them to have certain reactions towards you. So, for example, you could have a very jealous sibling, and that person doesn't consciously see your life reflecting the abundance that you're going to have. They don't consciously see you doing better than them or whatever. Like they may be like, oh, well, I didn't get an advanced degree like this person, or I didn't do this, or I didn't have children like this person, or whatever. So there may be some tangible things that they could be jealous of, but what they're really reacting to is how energetically they see and feel you from a spiritual perspective. And so when the people that come against you in that way, no matter how blatant or subtle, is to get you off of your path to abundance. Now, granted, there's with certain energies, you can be like shifted, and different little obstacles and things may come in your way just to give you some contrast in this life. But ultimately, you are never going to be removed from your abundance. And that's where people be having it fucked up. And spirit is like, your abundance is secured. Don't get it twisted. And that's why it's so funny to me how people purport to be Christian. They purport to be like this shaman, or very like um they'll purport to be this high ranking spiritual being, and they probably are. They probably have a lot of very ancient powerful spiritual gifts, but that means absolutely nothing if you're out here trying to interfere in people's purpose and their mission here, and you're being competitive. That shit means nothing. Alright, so what else does the collective need to know? And I feel like Spirit is saying that a lot of people try to justify being hateful to others through like saying, oh, because of this tragedy that I experienced, or this traumatic experience, or because I lost a child or I lost a loved one, that gives people um like a license to just be constantly hateful and wreak havoc on other people's lives. And people really think that that's somehow going to be like, when they get to judgment, that's going to be like their excuse for their behavior. And Spirit said, nah. One of the biggest lies told is that the blood will cover all sins. Nah. Because, first of all, the blood system and the vein system and all of those systems are earthly systems. So, what happens here on earth, yes, it does have an impact on what happens when you face judgment. But how does that translate? It doesn't. Spirit does not see you through the blood of another vessel. That's not how that works. So Like, you're responsible. That's why your heart is weighed on a scale. It's not Jesus' heart that's weighed on a scale when you're going to judgment. It's your heart that's weighed on a scale. And like I said, the term heart is very like spiritual. And that's why I was talking about in the beginning of the live that there's a separation between emotions and your heart. Because emotions are like part of the senses and things that are attached to a vessel. But your heart is connected to your soul. That's why they say heart and soul. Your heart is basically what holds your soul. And so, of course, it's not a physical heart, because if you've watched any of like the um forensic files or any of those shows that talk about forensic medicine and autopsies and things like that, your physical heart, it weighs way more than a feather. So like, to even think that the actual physical heart is what they are looking at when they weigh it against a feather, that doesn't make sense either. And so I feel like people really take all this information and interpret it so literally. What Spirit is saying is like the sacrifices of the Christ consciousness were sacrifices made for that particular energy. And it was supposed to be a demonstration for how you could then in turn achieve, ascended master status and achieve higher levels of consciousness. So it was for demonstrative purposes, but people then twisted the information and came up with this concept to alleviate their conscience. So remember, I made a separation between the conscious and the subconscious. We're not talking about the subconscious. We're talking about ways that people concoct paradigms and stories and all of these like um I feel like Spirit is talking about fairy tales to help to clear their conscience. And we're, as energies in a human vessel, you're not here to clear your conscience. You're here to clear your energy. You're here to clear um, energetic cycles that haven't been broken. And so, like, Spirit is saying, when you are guided, and directed by your subconscious, you say things on autopilot, you do things on autopilot, you don't even realize that you're being divinely guided. But when you're operating from your humanness and you're operating from your conscience, that is the place where all the problems occur. That's the area of your mind or the energy that's housed in your body. That's the part where people make decisions from jealousy and competition and um, all of those lower vibrational places. And I was just talking about operating from lower vibrational conscious thinking. And we have the strength in reverse. Because when you're operating from your conscious mind, your human brain, if you will, like that's not where your power lies. Your personal power is connected to source energy, which resides in your subconscious. And I said, which resides in your subconscious. So that's like the dark places of the mind. Because, like, the creative parts of us are connected to the feminine. So your subconscious is connected to the feminine aspects of source. Your conscious mind is connected to the masculine parts of source. And so, like, that's also why people, if they're too much in their masculine, that's where you have like addictive nature to substances. You have like, like you're hyper smegule, or however people say it, so you don't have to say certain words on TikTok. I hate having to like filter myself. But so, like, even though you have someone who could be truly in love with you, it was so funny because this girl's video went viral and she was talking about how she's so over men coming at her like, what you doing? Oh, I just got out the shower. Without me, that type of energy. Or um if you say I'm hungry and they be like, I got something for you to eat, and this dick, that type of shit. And it's like, okay, we get it. As women, we love being physically desired and attractive to the person we want to be with, but there has to be a balance. Like, make love to my mind doesn't mean every conversation that we have is going to center around my feminine anatomy and what you want to do to it and all of that shit. So, like, you know, we have to use discernment. And it's 1, 2, 3 on my clock. And I said, we have to use discernment. Hi, Bianca. So, like, if you're not making good choices, and this is the thing, you don't have to. So it's kind of like when people say, um well, thank you for asking me first before you ask the question. But I only do free questions on Fridays, so my prices are on the screen. But I lost my train of thought. So I think I was talking about that it's kind of like a situation where um never mind. I just lost my train of thought. You too. And I said I just lost my train of thought. But so I'm gonna use that situation as an example. Um and I hate to use her as an example because it's really no shade. But it's like I put the board up to indicate what it is that I'm doing on a particular day. So, like, if I'm charging today, I have all the information up to say that I'm charging. If I'm doing free questions, I have all the information up to say I'm doing free questions so that there's no like misinterpretation of what's going on here. But instead of like staying to listen to what I have to say to the collective, um, being like someone that is open and willing to listen to the overall message other than just having a question answered. And so I appreciate you, Bianca. But I'm just using this as an example of like, there are a lot of people that I attract through Free Question Friday that just want a free question answered, but they're not willing to listen to like what I have to say other than that. Like, it's all about, I just want my question answered. I just want to know about this. I don't want to know about anything else. And so, what Spirit has been communicating to the collective quite a bit is that it's like and I had to have like a conversation with somebody about this the other day where I was like, you like this person's interpretation of me was that I did not like them or I hated them. And I said, it's not about me hating you or disliking you, but I'm going to be very short with you if when you come at me it's about self-centeredness. So if you only want to interact with me to like text me to tell me what great thing just happened in your life, and you just want to communicate with me when it benefits you because you want to tell me that you won this award and you want somebody to big you up and pump you up and all of that. I love to be that for people. I genuinely in my heart love to be that for people. Um, but if that energy is not reciprocated to me, like this person would do things like just like every 6 months pop up out of the blue and be like, hey, what's up? I hope all is well. Look at me. And I'm like, before I could even answer to say, it wasn't even like, how are you doing? I'm concerned about you. I want to make sure you're okay. Did you eat today? Did someone tell you that you're loved today? It was just all about them. And like, I know that I have a special connection with this person, which is the reason why I just have not blocked them totally, because I'm a Taurus sun. I will block somebody in quicker than a tick in a New York minute. And so for me to like allow you to circle back in any capacity, meaning like whether it just be on some friendship shit or just because I like you as a person, I see your greatness or whatever the case may be, or maybe I have gotten some intuitive download that this is my divine life partner and this is just a time period that we're having to go through on the journey, and I should give this person more grace than the average person. Those are the reasons why I move in the ways that I move with different people. But like, that's where you have to draw the line. And one thing about it is that I say certain things to certain people and I come at certain people in a very direct manner just so that I can see what their response is going to be. Because if the response is denial of being self-centered, calling me, out my name, or telling me that I'm crazy or something's wrong with me, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or just getting on the defensive or making a lot of excuses, I know that that's not somebody that I can work with on a long term basis. That's not somebody that is in husband or wife energy. Because if I can't have those hard conversations with you about how you make me feel, and I'm not attacking your character, I'm not calling you out your name, I'm not disrespectful or anything like that. I'm just having a really like genuine, heartfelt expression of where I'm coming from. Then like I said, the response tells me everything I need to know about that person. It tells me, like, can they be honest with themselves about how they've been moving with me? Can they be honest with themselves about how they move in life, period? Can we have those hard conversations and the person not attack me in response or become so defensive that we can't reason with each other? you know just like I want somebody to be honest and open with me, I want that same reciprocal energy and respect. Like, we may not be at the point where we can have a full on relationship and we're together and we're getting engaged and married and things like that, but we're like establishing a connection where we can have like mutual understanding, and that my energy is pure and my heart is pure to the point where I'm not out here trying to hurt you or be vindictive. Because even when I have to have those challenging conversations with people, I still let them know I still love you, I still care for you. I still want the absolute best for you. There's no hard feelings on my part. But in order for me to set a proper boundary for me, in order for me not to feel empty when I'm interacting with you, in order for me not to feel like I'm the only one pouring into you and no one is pouring back into me, I need a certain level of attention from you. I need a certain level of communication. I need a certain level of interaction. And like I said earlier, it's great to be physically attractive to someone. I absolutely want that. I mean, for a woman especially, like I think that's the damn kiss of death when a man is like, I'm just not physically attracted. Like that right there. Ooh, child. I don't wish that upon anyone. I really don't. Bianca, you were saying, I really want to know why my husband Craig abandoned us and what he is thinking, so I will take what resonates. Okay. Yeah. Um, but because, and so what also kind of is concerning, like, or I'll say kind of, I don't know if I want to say bothers me, but it's like I'm constantly channeling the divine. And what happens is I'll be channeling, and some of the things that I'm saying will apply to the person who is watching. So it's cool when, if I'm saying something that could be perceived as negative, it's cool if it applies to the ops or, you know, your ex or somebody that has come against you or whatever. But it's difficult to hear from the standpoint of like me talking to you, or you know, and I'm not talking to anyone in particular. I'm just saying that in general it's much harder to accept what resonates from a collective message when it's it's talking about you, or talk, you know, unless it's, oh, you know, your money is coming in, your divine partner is coming in, this and that, and you know, that car that you've been wanting, you're going to get, and you know, all these other things that we want to hear. And like, so that's what I'm basically talking about, is emotional immaturity. You know, we want to hear certain things, we want to be pumped up, and that's, I guess that I'm going to use the word bother when I talk about other like readers, because um when you're in this position, when you read energy, when you're working for the divine, when you're not working from your conscious mind, when you're not just working from your humanness, when you're not just simply reading cards, but you're actually channeling information, downloading information, reading the energy, and then the cards could just be a supplement. That's a problem for me, because that creates like a prosperity preaching type environment in the spiritual community. It creates a situation where you're just telling people, you're like, you're doing collective messages that you think people want to hear. You're telling people things that they just want to hear. But when you're doing that to people, you're doing them a disservice. Because why would I tell someone that they're ready to be in a divine union when their energy is reading complete emotional immaturity, emotional unavailability, no power, Like, you haven't even begun to call your power back, and I'm supposed to tell you that you and this divine masculine or divine feminine are going to be together? No, hell no. That's called enabling people to bullshit. Because people already, from their conscious mind, they want to convince themselves that they're good people, that people really like them, that people want to hang around them, and so that's why we get into the whole people pleasing. We get into situations where we're like not setting boundaries and sharing our energy with people we shouldn't be sharing our energy with, because we are searching for external validation for what we already think in our mind about ourselves. It takes a strong individual to sit alone and still love yourself, and still know that the divine loves you, supports you, and guides you. That takes a hell of a lot of strength. Because, like I said, from a human perspective, from a conscious perspective, from a human vessel perspective, we're all like on this mission for, like, we want an IG level relationship, and we want to be able to post all these pictures of us going on trips and having fun and smiling and pregnant and getting married in this big beautiful wedding. And we want to be able to be like, have an episode of the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous where we got the drones that are flying around our estate and showing where the magic happens in the master bedroom and all this dumb shit. And we're deceiving ourselves. And I wasn't really going to talk about this, but I don't really watch TV. Like 90% of the week my TV is off, and I'll like maybe watch some comedy or something on the weekends, or like I like um the true crime type stories and stuff like that, or a rom-com or whatever. Or like my guilty pleasure is to watch some bad low budget black movie on Tubi or some shit. But I've been watching some really decent things on Netflix this weekend. So I watched a movie called Forever. It's with Megan Good and Taye Diggs. Like, awesome movie to me. It was just, there were so many different plot twists and turns in the movie, and it was just like a really endearing love story. And just like, I just loved it. So if you're into that and you want to watch a good movie, watch that. um but then I also watched the Lamar Odom documentary. And I will say that I don't have the highest opinion of the Kardashians, mainly because of like promoting that whole Smex tape and all of that for like public notoriety or whatever. um and then like their connections in those circles with the E dude and all of that. If that's even true, I don't know anything about these people's lives other than what's put in the media. But I will say that documentary changed my opinion of Khloe Kardashian to an extent. um she was able to admit that she was an enabler, and she was like, for years she didn't sleep because everything she was doing was to cover up what Lamar had going on and to protect their image. And it just reminded me of how many people in celebrity status do that shit on a daily basis. And so when you allow someone to have your energy to that extent, you're basically telling the divine, I don't really love myself. I'm not going to put myself first. I'm going to put this other person wholeheartedly before myself, before my well-being, before anything that I have going on. I'm not even going to get enough sleep so that I can put this person before me. Like, I'm not even taking care of my basic needs to just completely give my power away to this person. So I could appreciate the fact that she was able to admit that she was a complete enabler, and um, you know, but the part of the story that changed my opinion about her was how she, even though the divorce paperwork was in the works in the courts, when he almost died, when he got caught up in that brothel, and then, I had no idea that he was like in a coma and was, almost died and all that. Like, I knew that he had like allegedly OD'd in this brothel or whatever, and they found him, but there was like very little information that I was, aware of, as far as the extent of his recovery. That dude had like 6 strokes and 12 heart attacks, or 12 heart attacks and 6 strokes. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk. Like, there was a really long road to recovery after that shit, and Chloe was right there by his side. And so that's just an example of, like, sometimes people have to go through near death situations in order to wake up. And sometimes relationships are designed to teach both people something very serious, but not to the extent where they're supposed to be together. So, spoiler alert, I'm gonna, tell details of it. If you don't want to know, what, like, essentially what happened in the end, and don't listen to this part. But basically, she was like, and I think this might actually have been a part of the advertisement for it. But she was basically like, I stood by his side, I protected him throughout his recovery. And once he was able to learn how to walk again, he could barely talk, but he was able to at least walk again, because they needed him to be able to walk and like function on his own, because he's so fucking tall and so heavy. Like, when you're 6'9" and like almost 300 pounds, like, there's very few people that could ever like deal with that. Like, you would have to have, multiple caregivers and all kinds of stuff. And so she was like, I stood by him through all of that. She protected him in the hospital because there were people that were trying to come to the hospital to like collect debts from him and shit. Um, people trying to, just get a story or whatever. And so after she did all that, she got him out of the hospital and then put him up in this like house where she paid for the house, she paid for the rehab person, she paid for a chef. And she said not it hadn't even been, I don't even think it had been a good month. Like it may not have even been a good week. And she said she came to the house and she smelled crack. So this dude just had a near death experience. He can't even really talk good because of all the strokes. He just got his legs working good again. She was like, you don't even have a phone. How did you communicate to get this? So he didn't even really try to hide it. He was up in the bedroom smoking crack. And so that was the final wake up call for her to say, I cannot do this shit. Like, I just can't. Like, I have done any and everything that I possibly can to help this dude, but like, this is the final fucking straw. Because, see, for elites, tooting powder is regular. Like, people function on that all the time. You know, it's something that like is passed around like candy. I had a friend of mine come visit me when I lived in California. And I say friend lightly because I had a lot of people that were just like coming to visit me in California for a place to stay. And this person was one of them. He said he went to Malibu and was on the beach and somebody was trying to hand him some powder. And I was just like, people out here wilding because they don't know who you are. You could be some undercover, like you could be an off-duty cop. Like it's just wild shit that happens in Los Angeles County especially. And so for him to be a celebrity and you have all this NBA money, he spent $75,000 on that like 2-3 night brothel stay. For you to then be smoking some crack, you a baser? Like I was laughing because his fiance, like his childhood sweetheart, pretty Latina chick from Queens. And I was just like, because it got to a point in his career where they had lost their child, lost a baby to SIDS. And after that, she was just like, I'm not doing this with you anymore. Like, I can't, like, I just can't manage how I'm feeling right now about our baby and your career. And so she just bowed out. But I already know that, like, I grew up in Westchester County, New York, so I wasn't in a borough, but I still have a New York state of mind. And the New York state of mind is, what we not gonna do is we not gonna be out here smoking crack now. Like, that's what we not gonna do. I'm not saying that like all the other stuff he was doing was cool and like being addicted to anything is like acceptable. But like from a New York state of mind, we like, nah, you not about to be no baser. And I feel like her spirit felt that shit. Like he was going to be on that like later on, because she could kind of see that like at the beginning of his career, like how he liked to showboat and he liked to be in front of the camera and he liked attention. And that's basically what got him into the relationship with Chloe, because he admitted like he wanted to attach himself to her fame, her family status, so that he could get a piece of that. So then they ended up with a whole reality show and all that. So he got what he wanted, but that shit came with a price. She got what she thought she wanted, but that shit came with a price. And so, but like that time period where she was still like, I'm still legally his wife, she basically stopped his father from pulling the plug on him, because his father was just on some bullshit. I think that may have been like he saw what happened on the news and he showed up at the hospital or some shit, and they were like, well, since you're his closest next of kin, you can make these decisions. But she was like, whoa, nah, I'm still married to him. Like that's how the divine works on the behalf of people. So like under normal circumstances, her divorce probably would have been all the way done and finalized, especially since she's a celebrity. But that shit was backed up in the courts. And so she was still able to step in and be there for him, to help him during that time of need. And thank God she's the type of person that has a heart for people like that, cuz honestly, I don't think I would have done it. I honestly don't. After that person put me through all of that shit, because he was like out there literally for the streets. Like, dude, you are a celebrity. Why is you out here just sleeping with random ass people? That's crazy work. But anyway, so he was putting her life in jeopardy on so many different levels, because when you're dealing with drug dealers, when you're dealing with, people that are used to damn unaliving people over their paper or some work. Like we talk about people that look, the devil card came out in reverse, because the devil card isn't all that negative. Like we can put a negative connotation on anything. But when that devil, because see, in the upright, in this particular deck, it's like a symbol of strength, like overcoming. Like, but in the reverse, like that's that shit that people be on. Like I talked about, operating heavily from the masculine, from the conscious mind, and being addicted to, Smex or D-Rugs or whatever it is, because you're like, the release of dopamine and all of the feel good, euphoric type senses are being activated through like your conscious mind and affecting your body in that way. And it's like it affects the chemistry of your brain, so that you, like, regardless of the consequences of doing it, you like your brain overrides all of that and still wants whatever it wants. And like I said, operating from the conscious mind, like not not alchemizing that energy for your good, but just like thrill seeking, seeking to just be soothed emotionally, not operating from your power. And like not thinking with a clear mind, not thinking with a level head, not directing your thoughts in the right manner. Like, and I would say not managing your emotions, letting your emotions overtake you, turn your life upside down. And spirit is just like, we're trying to get you to a place where you rely on the stability of your energy more than you rely on this world. And the fact that she's sitting on this tree stump, trees are very deeply rooted and grounded into the universe, into Mother Earth, into the fabric of the universe and the feminine energy. So Mother Earth is the feminine energy, the subconscious. And when you have your roots deeply rooted into your subconscious, then you can manage your energy. And you can help let your energy from a subconscious source level be your guide. And not operating so much, this is what I was talking about earlier, not operating so much from your masculine to where it hinders your feminine. So there has to be a balance. If you're operating too much from your masculine, from your conscious mind, from the thoughts that you come up with to convince yourself of things, then that's going to create the energy of needing to rest. Like, this is getting your mind right. This is like allowing the divine to perform spiritual surgery on your mind. Excuse me, stop. Stop tearing that up. Because you already supposed to be going outside and you tearing that up. Don't do that. Yes, you. Spirit, what else does the collective need to know? I feel like Spirit is saying that we should be looking forward to living a soft life, living a life where we can live wherever we want to live. If we want to live in a state, if we want to have multiple residences in different places, if we want to, live somewhere where we can access the beach on a regular basis, then we can do that. We can live a soft life. We can live a life that is where we are financially free. But in order to be financially free, we also have to free ourselves from the confines of our mind. User, did you want to pay for a reading? And I'm not, and user, if you're still here, I'm gonna kind of use you as an example as well, because spirit brings people in my life for a reason. One of the reasons why I really don't like doing free questions is because it adds to the drama of the whole spiritualist movement right now. And when I say drama, I say that because people don't take this seriously. Just like there are other professions that people don't take seriously, and it's really a shame, especially the service industry. So you said, I don't get why won't you share the beautiful gift you have and share it for free. Because people don't take it seriously. You can say you respect something all day, but do you live for free? Do you go to work for free? Now, if you just are, your family has passed down generational wealth to you and you don't have to work and all of that, no, you cannot be taking it seriously if I have all my prices up here and I'm not doing free question Friday. It's not Friday. But people are asking me for free questions. I'm like, you can't really say that you respect it when your actions don't align with what you're saying. And so that's why I have PayPal as well, but you didn't ask me about that. So I'm just we just gonna leave that alone. I'm just using you as an example. It's no shade to you individually as a person. I'm not attacking you as a person. I'm just talking about the fact that people don't respect this. I'm gonna call it an art form. Because number one, people don't connect to it themselves. You have the same gifts. I'm not gonna say that. My spirit team is like, hold up, don't say that. I was about to say you have the same gifts I have, but no, you don't. But we all have declares. We all have the ability to tap into the downloads and the information that you're seeking from other people. And so I'm talking about this because it's just like with traditional religion. People put more faith in the pastor or the person, the leaders in the church. They put more faith in the Pope to get a prayer through or whatever. And people don't realize that you can ask yourself these questions. You can ask the divine these questions and get the answer for yourself for free. Like, you can't have an expectation of always coming to someone externally and getting what you need for free. That's not how this world is built. I've been sitting here channeling information. How long have I been on here? I've been on here for almost an hour and a half. I've been channeling information, which is a free collective message. I'm doing a free collective message, but people are just like, I need it now. I want it now. I need my question answered. I don't want to pay for it. And I just like, give me what I want type energy. And on a Friday, when I do free questions, that may work for you. But on a day like today, when I'm not doing that, it's actually kind of disrespectful, because this takes a lot of energy. I may make it look easy, other people may make it look easy, but I have to still do a lot of personal individual work to be able to sit here as a neutral party, to be able to channel information where I'm not channeling information strictly through my trauma, my pain, and projecting onto people, and like filtering what I'm getting from the divine through my bullshit, and then spewing bullshit onto others. So I not only and this is for not just me, but this is for other readers as well. We not only have to get up here and be okay with being seen, being okay with being talked shit about, being okay with being judged for getting up here, putting ourselves out there in the public eye. We have to do that publicly, but then privately, we still have to practice what we preach. Because I'm not gonna, as a representative of the Galactic Council and the Divine, I'm not about to sit up here and tell people about like how to navigate life, and I'm not going to have car conversations with people if I'm not able to take what I'm dishing, if I'm not actually doing the work and actually having integrity. Like, the divine is not going to continue to allow people to sit up here in hypocrisy. So people better get ready, because if you consider yourself an energy reader or a psychic medium or whatever you calling yourself, or a shaman or whatever, if you're not actually doing the work behind the scenes, and you're not actually operating from a place of authenticity, you about to be shut down. There's gonna be a lot of y'all's favorite readers is about to be shut all the way down. Because I talked about that whole Lamar Odom documentary, because people who do that and who sit in a position of leadership from a spiritual perspective or from an energy reading perspective, they are enabling bullshit. When people do readings and they're scared to be straight up with people, and they're scared to tell people what is really good, because they want to keep people coming back and keep people paying for readings and things like that, people are going to like skew the information to make that person feel better about their bullshit. And like I said, that's doing the person a disservice. That's handicapping the person. Because if you're allowing a person to sit in their muck and be mediocre and not do what they need to do to elevate higher, sometimes it just takes accountability. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and make spirituality and healing and all of that super complicated. I try to make it as simple as possible, because I don't want people to get overwhelmed to the point where they just like, fuck it, I'm just not gonna do shit. I'm here to like help people to navigate challenges, help like to encourage people to keep going, to give people hope, and try to like share the ways that I've connected to my faith in order to get through tough times. Like, that's what the divine is trying to share with people. The divine is not trying to make spirituality hard, but if you know that you on some bullshit, if you know that you contributed 1000% to the demise of your relationship, and you just want somebody to tell you that it was the other person and they're a narcissist and it's not you, it's them, and you know all of that, you're going to continue to take that bullshit into every subsequent relationship, and then you're not going to take accountability, and you're not ever going to have a happy, healthy, stable, solid relationship. Because what's going to end up happening is you're just going to keep attracting twin flame energy that's going to take you down and through there with tests and lessons until you learn the fucking lesson. So, would you rather have a reader to like give you the game so that you could save yourself years of like just bullshit relationships? Or do you want somebody to just enable you to be delusional about who you are and how you operate, and put you in a constant cycle of having to learn the same lesson over and over and over again? And I already know this is the least popular message. This is about the least popular message in these internet streets. And so, like, I just have to prepare myself. Like, I had a reader tell me years ago, she was like, when you start speaking your truth, people are going to hate you for it. So prepare yourself. And here we are. I'm just like, I had to prepare myself. The divine has like eased me into all of this the way that it has, because this is how I designed my life before I incarnated, number one. And number two, because the more I speak my truth, the more people are going to like not like what I have to say, because it's, triggers them and calls them out on their bullshit, and they have to like awaken and face themselves and all of that shit. When you carry that kind of energy, you have to be prepared for people to be coming at you. But the flip side of that is, you're going to be living such an opulent, luxurious life that that's going to be the balance. You'll be able to laugh at people that come at you. Like, oh, so such and such said such and such, and you can sit on your damn veranda overlooking your infinity pool and your acres of land, watching your dogs frolic. Look, they frolicking in the background. Watch your dogs frolic and just laugh at that shit. And if you need a quick pick me up, you can just log into your bank account and get you a quick pick me up. Or look at your financial reports that your accountant sent you for a quick pick me up. And think about all of the delectable foods that you're going to be eating that are going to completely nourish your body when you go to Bali or wherever it is in the world that you plan on going next. On your private jet, no less. But it takes doing the work beforehand to be able to build up your strength and your fortitude to be at that place. Because with as much money and fame that Nicki Minaj and Cardi B have, they should never be going back and forth on X, on Instagram, on any of that shit, on lives. David, you know how much I would be laughing at people that came against me if I was in either one of their places. Now, Nicki is 2:22 on my clock. Nicki Minaj is on some other shit, but regardless, like from Cardi B's perspective, I would never argue with her. I would just look at that shit and be like, because that's what people want. That's what gets people going. That's what drives distractions. And I just was talking about basically the light and dark side of being an earth angel. When you speak your truth, that dark shit comes out of people. Like, people really come for you when you are in this earth angel energy, when you trying to give people the game. Like, I'm just trying to help y'all. I'm in a place where I am in ascended master energy. Most people want to claim being an ascended master, an earth angel, walking karma, and all this other stuff, but nobody wants to really acknowledge the fact that you gonna have a bunch of damn flying monkeys attacking your ass because society has gotten them in a particular mindset where they have wings. They think they up there. They think that all because of their money and status and they're an icon and all this other shit that they got it all together, that they up there just like you're up there with your wings. But there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. There's a difference in the mentality. There's a difference in how these two different energies move throughout life. A flying monkey is going to be like gathering all of the other monkeys like, come on, let's get this bitch. Whereas an earth angel is trying to lead people in a manner that's going to be positive and uplifting and put you in the energy of having success. But a flying monkey in this leadership energy will lead your ass that straight to hell. And hell doesn't even have to be a place. It could just be a straight mindset that we're talking about. Yeah, an earth angel uses their gifts with high honor. They're not using their power and their leadership ability and they're not using the power of their gifts to influence others negatively and enable others to be a part of some mess. And that's the other thing, that the reason why I don't just do yes, no answers is because there's always some more to the answer. Like, people want to know, will I reconcile with blah, blah, blah? But yeah, you'll reconcile with them, but they gonna come back and wreck your life again the way they wrecked your life the first time. But if I just say yes, then they would just, they would go like, oh, my karmic justice. Oh, yes, I'm going to be back with my person. But you know good and damn well this person rocked your head the other day. Like, you want to know if you're done with somebody who blacked your eye last month. You want to know if this person is your person who graped you. I don't care if it's date grape. You actually want to know if you're supposed to be with somebody who graped you? The worst questions are, should I be with this person who assaulted my child, who essayed my child? Like, is you stupid? Like, now I'm gonna get disrespectful. Because it's one thing to put yourself in harm's way. It's one thing to allow somebody to damn beat you down. But when you have children involved, you have to move differently when you have children involved. I don't care if it's just a matter of there's no essay or anything like that. It's just between you and that person. But just imagine if that person gets to the end of their rope and they decide to come and spray up your whole house. Like, spirit needs for us to do better. Because, yeah, when somebody's enamored with someone that they know is on some bullshit, that's a scary place to be, sis. And spirit is like, we need for y'all to wake the fuck up. What was I just talking about? Wanting to be with somebody who has beat your ass. Enamored with somebody who put your ass in the fucking hospital. That's what these questions are about. And that's why spiritualists have to be careful about just answering yes or no questions. I take the time to read the overall energy. I'm basically giving not just yes, no questions, which could be, like 222 or 555. I'm basically, my mini reading is an extended question. So I'm giving that away for free on Fridays. And people are still playing with my gifts. Because then on days that I'm not doing free questions, they see everything on the screen and they still come up in here and want a free question. Instead of honoring my gifts and honoring the fact that I do have a free community day where I offer my gifts for free. But that's also why traditional religion has got this shit fucked up. Because traditional religion has created this facade where it's like, oh, you're coming to church and it costs nothing. The pastor isn't getting anything. That's a fucking lie. The pastor is caking off of people's tithes, offerings, donations. And on top of that, they're benefiting from being they're tax exempt. So like where people get hit the hardest is typically taxes, especially if you're like a mega church and you're bringing in millions of dollars a week. You bringing in millions of dollars a week and you don't have to pay taxes on that. There is nobody, I guarantee you, there is nobody who has gotten a free question from me that will go to work for free. You gonna get up, put your clothes on, put your makeup on, do your hair, get in your car, spend your gas to go clock in somewhere and not get a paycheck? The divine is not doing that to me. The divine is not setting me up for that. Now, I have placed my full faith and trust in the divine and knowing that they are going to fully take care of me financially and otherwise. so that I don't have to like beg people to get readings from me. If you want a reading, if you want to pay for a reading, cool. If you don't want to pay for a reading, I'm totally cool. Like, I'm not gonna, if you inbox me to ask me for my prices and I don't hear from you again, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not tripping. And that's where people need to get to. Is I'm not talking about the people who are on TikTok doing this as their full-time job. But if you're going to do this type of work as your full-time job, it needs to be a real full-time job, meaning you're doing trainings, you're constantly enhancing yourself, you're doing meditation. Like, if you work a corporate job and you're outstanding at your job and you actually have to like do some things for your job, meaning it's not just like a job that you were given by virtue of your dad owning the company and you really don't have to do any work. You just like, you may go to a couple of meetings and make a couple of decisions, but you're not really having to do anything that requires talent. I'm talking about if you are a high level executive in a corporation and your job performance, your paycheck, your sustainability in that company is based on your performance. You're not just, if you're going to be excellent and outstanding at what you're doing, you're not just going to go to work and keep doing the same shit. You're going to have a mentor. You're going to go online and you're going to look for organizations to join so that you can get information from them and go to conferences. You're going to be constantly looking for opportunities to train and enhance yourself and develop your skills. But if you're on here, if you're sitting up here as a energy reader and you're supposed to be working for the divine from a standpoint of helping people to build up themselves and set boundaries and self-care. And when I say self-care, I don't just mean going to the spa and getting the spa treatment or facial or body scrub or putting on some makeup and looking nice and smelling good and going out and taking yourself on a date. That's just surface level self-care. The real self-care is being able to say, no, I'm not fucking with these people, whether they're friends or family or whatever, because when I go around them, my energy is fucked up by being around these people. So in order for me to protect my energy, in order for me to protect my mental health, sometimes you have to say, I'm not going to fuck with them, even though I want to be accepted. I want to be a part of the family. I want to be loved by my parents or whoever it is. The person who raised me, my grandparents, whatever it is. If you go around people and every time you leave them, you are in tears because they said something, they made a facial expression towards you, or any kind of gesture that fucked with your well-being, you do not need to be around that person or those people. Period. Something just flew out of my nose. I guess that's confirmation.
It was just a little dry piece of skin or something.
But I mean, that's where the work comes in. And most people, their ego is so damn big that they're like, I don't even like, I'm willing to just sacrifice my mental and emotional well-being for it to look away. And for some of y'all, it has to do with the masculine. Whether that's, a femme masculine or a masculine, it don't matter. So for some of y'all, you go around a masculine figure and they give you the angst. That could be a father figure, it could be an uncle. Yeah, because this person has a whole ass entity attachment. This person could be a veteran. And part of self-care is to know your own energy enough so that when you get around other people with this fucked up entity attachment type energy, that you can be like, whoa, like, I'm not fucking with it. Even if it means you feel rejected, even if it means you feel abandoned, even if it means that people talk about how you abandon the family or abandon your parent or whatever the case may be. And I said abandon your parent. Just because that's your parent, that is not the fucking boss of you. Let's be clear. Your parents do not own you. If you're a parent, you do not own your children. Your children belong to the divine. They belong to source. So it is completely unfair, irrational, not reasonable to have certain expectations of control over other souls and other energies that do not belong to you. For some of y'all, this could be an actual boss that gives you that kind of energy. For some of you, this could be a whole family, a whole community that you need to disconnect from. It could be a bunch of coworkers. Like I was saying earlier, as people, when we go to work, we want to be liked. If it's school, we want to be a part of like the in crowd. We want to be accepted by people. We want to be validated. Sorry, my neck is really messed up. And I know it's ascension symptoms because my higher self, I was like, when is this gonna like resolve itself? And she was just like, soon. But like, we're having to elevate people very rapidly. And so like, if you're having like maybe sinus pressure, headaches and body aches and all of that, especially like in your upper chakra area, so everything I'm describing is the upper chakras, that is the divine accelerating your ascension. And so when your ascension is being accelerated, you have to expect that you're going to experience, prolonged like body aches and pains and releases and different like upheavals and stuff like that. And it's just so, and it's more intense right now because it's like a rapid ascension, and versus like previously they could like drip here and drip there and it wouldn't be as intense, but because they're having to like ratchet things up, it's a lot more intense. And I basically have been talking about relationships, and I was just talking about being accepted by people. So even though this shows a masculine and feminine, yes, it can definitely talk about the external relationship, but a lot of this has to do with the masculine and feminine within. A lot, like the word relationship in general is a representation of just a relationship of any kind, romantic or otherwise. And like I said, when you have a good relationship with yourself, when you are doing the self-care, people don't like that shit. People do not like that. Because when people are operating from their humanness, it's a constant comparison. And when you're constantly comparing yourself to someone, especially if it's like one person in particular, that's going to be torture, because it's always going to be something that that person is doing that's going to cause you to be jealous and envious if you're constantly comparing yourself. And that's a part of self-love too, is you're your own individual person. Be confident in yourself. Love yourself enough to not compare yourself to others, to not put yourself in competition with others. And like I said, the more people look at you, the more people want to like compare themselves to a rising star. And I just talked about ascension symptoms as well. When you're a rising star and people are in constant competition, constantly comparing themselves, they're not going, first of all, when you're rising, they're not going to ever be able to catch up. They're just not. And I've been talking about self-love. And I just said, when you're ascending, when you're a rising star, they're never going to be able to catch up. So they're forever going to be in this karmic femme, karmic masculine, competitive, jealous, envious energy, because it's like you're ascending with wings and they're running on a treadmill. There's no way for them to catch up with you. And that money is for sure gonna be stacking up. And they gonna be real pissed when they can't keep up with that either. Because you see how he's pointing at that money? That's the energy of somebody pocket watching you. Like they forever trying to see how much money you have, what you working with, are you doing better than them? They just always out here counting your paper. I can't stand when people do that. I can't stand when people like want to know how much money I spend at the store. Like, bruh, I'm in here buying toiletries and shit, and you want to know how much money I spent at the checkout. Like, this is necessities. I need monthly products for that monthly time. You know, just crazy shit. And spirits like, when you a rising star, you sometimes gotta be that ice queen. And you know, you gotta know that some people are gonna interpret you as mean and not friendly and rude and, you know, an iced out person. But that's not gonna be everybody, and everybody isn't for you. And you're not for everybody. And the reason why spirit is separating you from other people is because they're not in the same realm as you. So, like, when you talk about going through things with different people so that it pushes you to separate yourself from them, like, that's kind of what the court system does. Like, there's just going to be certain circumstances where the courts may have to step in and they end up forcing you to have to get a restraining order against somebody, or forcing a prosecution. Like, there's some states where when there's a case of DV, it doesn't matter if the victim wants to be involved or not. The courts are going to proceed. If they have enough evidence, if your ass was at the hospital and the people called the law enforcement from the hospital and was like, you were just assaulted by your domestic partner, and the prosecution is a state where the prosecution can proceed with or without you, they're going to force you into separation from this person. And I said they're going to force you into separation. While that person's back there getting on the bus, you up here going in a completely different direction. That person on the bus is having to travel west and you traveling north or south, however you want to look at it. I'm going to say north because of the north node, because you always want to be traveling towards your north node, which is your purpose. And having faith is a part of traveling in your north node. Because you have to have faith in knowing that you're going in the right direction, that the divine is supporting you, guiding you, directing you, protecting you. And what Spirit is saying is, when you move without faith, that's how you start moving from your humanness. That's how you get into this jealousy and envy type energy. Because you feel like you have to do all the work to get your money stacked up. You have to do all the work to live that opulent life that you might see someone else living. And Spirit is like, we got you. If you would just surrender, we got you. But you being stuck in your humanness and being balled up all the time, we can't help you in that energy. Because you're basically taking everything into your own hands. You out here making a bunch of decisions from your humanness, from your conscious mind, when the divine is trying to guide you and lead you from your subconscious. That's how, again, that's how your body functions on its own. That's how your body regulates on its own. That's how your vessel is formed in the womb on its own. That's how, like, the birds operate from that part of their brain. That's how they get guided and directed, and they know what's north, south, east, and west. They know where to go when it gets cold and things like that. They instinctively know how to build birds' nests. They instinctively know how to like push their babies out of the nest at a certain point. You know, these different animals, they don't have to be taught any of these things. And so that's what spirit is really trying to get people to realize, is that when you're operating from your gifts, it's not something that anyone can teach you. It comes naturally. Like one day you may just discover that you're an amazing artist. But if you didn't have faith in the divine, and you didn't have faith in like the nudges that you were getting to buy some canvases, or do some artwork, then you're operating from your humanness. It's basically like a tug of war, where like society and the way everything has been set up financially is, I gotta go to work, I gotta go to work, I gotta pay these bills, I gotta make sure I have food to eat, I gotta make sure this rent is paid, which is not unreasonable. Those are regular things. But when you get into that mode, it's hard to hear the downloads that you're getting from your subconscious, from the divine. It's hard to listen to those nudges. Or it's a situation where it's like, I'm being told to go buy, you know, canvases and paint, but I don't have the money to do that. And I'm already working 2 jobs. So not only do I not have the money to do that, but I don't even have the time or the energy to do that. Yeah, spirit's like, use your gifts. We're trying to get you to tap into your gifts. And the divine knows that that shit isn't easy. They know it's not easy with all of the things that we have going on in life, with all of the distractions, with the lack of love in the world, and us trying to like seek love and validation from relationships. Spirit's like, seeking love and validation externally is always a false narrative. That has to come from your soul. You see the difference? How there's a piece of paper externally, and then what the soul looks like. And spirit is saying energy does not lie. Energy projected on a piece of paper, which is called scrying, it doesn't lie, but people can create a false narrative from the energy that's projected. So it could be projected as one thing, which could be interpreted many different ways. But that's what spirit is talking about. People have done over time and through history, is they'll have a document, and then they will alter it to suit whatever agenda they have, and it creates a false narrative, a false document. But when you know who you are on a soul level, when you tap into your gifts, your energy, the part of you that is source, you don't have to rely on external false documents to teach you anything, or to like create mindsets for you. Because just as much as there's information, there's good information in books, there's a lot of false information in books. And Spirit is talking about there are energies who have incarnated, who are literally walking vessels of ancient wisdom and knowledge. So, like, you don't even need a book if there are energies on this planet who are trying to disseminate information towards your enlightenment. And when people are here, they're trying to change your mind. They're trying to get you to step into a different energy. And tapping into, like I was talking about earlier, tapping into your feminine energy is where your subconscious is, where all of source energy and information lies. If you look at this outfit, this is more masculine. This type of clothing would hide her curves versus what she has on here. And so, like, this is basically like the external world focusing on just being human. It hides all of like the intricacies. Looking at this person with this set of clothing, you probably wouldn't realize she even had a cute shape. These people who are here with this ancient wisdom is 1000% starseed energy. Because it's the intelligence of aliens, if you will, people who are not of this planet, that established this planet. And so these same energies, their Akashic records holds the information that has been distorted and falsified through documents and books. And I was just talking about vessels walking around here holding all of the ancient wisdom and knowledge that people will ever need. And without this knowledge is what has created what we're dealing with now, a bunch of destruction. The Spirit is saying that these ancient beings established all of this fertile land that was meant to provide everything that you could possibly need to function without having to worry about money. But when people come in with this funneling money and finances through taking people's shit, taking land, creating chaos based on material things, the fabric of this planet doesn't change, but you just have all of this chaos overshadowing the information that's been embedded in the planet all along. And if you know, I've been talking about Mother Earth, and if you notice, these two people both have green on, and their hand gestures are the same pretty much. And so one person is enhancing the planet and building up the planet, the other one is bringing destruction to the planet. The light and dark side of Mother Earth, if you will. You know, when we talk about life and death, one is above ground, one is below. One is in darkness, one is not. But you can rise out of darkness to the light. But a lot of people choose not to. Having a mole on your neck could be significant. And I feel like these two cards are also talking about this twin flame journey. Because there are two sides to every person in a relationship. They can, as long as things are going their way, they're a sweetheart. But if things start not going their way, whether it's their fault or the other person, they gonna end up in this energy over here. And that's where the lesson comes in. Because on the twin flame journey, you're going to be constantly learning lessons from each other. There's going to be repeated endings and separation and then new beginnings. And Spirit is like, y'all just chill. Like, there's no, when you're on a twin flame journey, there is no need to be up in arms, acting crazy, doing extracurricular shit. You just have to chill and trust the process. But a lot of people don't want to do that. And they just want to hurry up and reconcile or hurry up and be in a relationship or just, you know, hurry up, you know, but that's not a good look. Because if you actually want a commitment, you're going to have to go through a series of endings and new beginnings. Whether that's with one person or with multiple people. And that's one thing that people don't really talk about when it comes to marriage. There's a lot of people out here, just like I was talking about Chloe and Lamar Odom. There's a lot of people out here that are totally covering their relationship. They know that their shit is fucked up, horrible, all of the above, and they are. You like, if you saw the two people together, you would never know there was a problem. They're just as in love and touchy feely and huggy kissy. And I mean, sometimes they're not always like that, but they may not be as like warm and fuzzy, but maybe that's just their disposition. Maybe that's how they grew up. But they're still going to put on a facade that everything is copacetic, and it's not. And that's because people refuse to properly navigate the twin flame journey. And I said people refuse to navigate the twin flame journey properly. Because our minds, our will, our emotions have been so manipulated by society that we just hurry up, just answer my questions, just hurry up and give me this, hurry up and do that. I need it quick, I need it now, I need, like, that's not how life is supposed to be. The journey to your divinity is slow and steady. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so many people want what the divine feminines and masculines have achieved over decades of time in an instant. It's like, I want it now, but I don't want to have to do the work. I just want to take the work from you. And that's how people get into jealousy, envy, and all this spell work and trying to destiny swap and shit. That shit won't work, but they gonna try to do it because they don't want to have to go through what these people went through to get to where they are. But they gonna have a big ass surprise. When people start seeing y'all leveling up in life, glowing up in life, they might as well go on and start expecting it to happen. Because they're going to have to sit back and watch. This table is the table that the divine has prepared for thine enemies. They're going to have to sit there at the table and watch like they're at a dinner theater. And they sitting there looking at their watch like, when is this going to be over so I don't have to watch anymore? And Spirit's like, never. You gonna be an unalived man or woman walking. You gonna have to sit there. And for some of y'all, this could be a mature woman, like a mother figure. Yeah, because while you're moving on, you're continuing on your journey to freedom. Spirit said all roads lead to freedom. I have a sign in my house too that says all roads lead to freedom. While you're on the roads of freedom financially and otherwise, these people is going to be living a complete hell on earth. They going to wish that they were unalived. They going to want to just go on and get it over with. And Spirit's going to be like, nah. You're not getting away that fast or that easy. You thought you packed your bag and was going to get in that car and go so you wouldn't have to watch. But nah, Spirit said, you're not getting away that easy, Jack. I said they not letting you get away that easy. Multitudes of people. And if you look at how this is almost the same couple. Like the way the people look. I know they all kind of look similar in the deck, but I felt like Spirit was telling me to point out that this twin flame journey, Like, it's going to include third parties, however that looks. Whether that be a damn hating ass mama, you know, a karmic masculine, a karmic feminine that's getting in between. I said a karmic feminine that's getting in between. And look where her hand is, in between her legs. Mm, mm, mm. And I feel like somebody who wears a faja is significant because, like, that looks like a faja. The way it opens all the way down. And spirit is telling me that somebody watching me right now is evil eyeing me. If you gonna sit and watch me and evil eye me, like, what's the point? That's silly. I know you got something better to do. I know you do. But when there is a divine union, when a high priestess is on a twin flame journey, this union is inevitable. There's nothing that can come in between this union. Even if it's a third party at some point, even if there's some, you know, whatever at some point, nobody can stop this bliss. Nobody. That love offer is coming in. This is going to be the love of your life. Trust me, when this divine masculine is ready to come in with an official love offer, you are going to know that by the way this person talks to you, by the way they move, by the things that they are offering. It's not going to be like when the real offer comes. Sometimes the divine may put you all back together for a time period in order for you just to express how you feel about each other, to clear up any miscommunications. And then you're still not ready for that full commitment, but you're like, the communication is what keeps you all connected, or helps to keep you all connected. And so, like, the real love offer that comes in is going to be like, I want us to go look for rings. I need to know what your ring size is. I want you to, you know, come meet my family. I want you to, I want us to sit down and talk about where we're going to live, what type of wedding we're going to have. You know, like, those are the conversations. And maybe y'all aren't quite ready because there still needs to be some healing. There still needs to be mental and emotional healing. And in turn, maybe some healing and finances, you know, because if you were raised with a poverty mentality and you were taught to, and as soon as I said if you were raised with a poverty mentality, if you were taught to, like, shop emotionally, if you were shown that, you know, you problem solve by going out and buying a bunch of stuff and it feels good in the moment, but then a week later when bills are coming out of your account or your mother's account, it's a problem. She always was begging somebody for money. Spirit is like, you're not even gonna have to worry about any of that. And that's why I was talking about, like, people in this high priestess energy, because spirit and the divine knows that people are going to come for you when you start speaking your truth. They're going to be like, we got you financially. Your abundance is going to be so massive that there's not going to be any government, any entity. People aren't going to be able to cancel you, because that's what spirit needs people to be in a place to be able to do, is speak your truth and call motherfuckers out on their bullshit without concern of being canceled, without concern of losing money, without concern of losing contracts or deals or whatever, because that is a mechanism for keeping people quiet and for hiding information. If these damn cards, and speaking your truth is a major achievement, it will create your achievements in life. Hi there. Happy Easter, even though I don't celebrate. Spirit said your family's abundance is secured. Your children's children, your children's children's children, all of them secured. Unbothered. Financially free. Nothing can come against you. No spell work, no public humiliation, no cancellation, no a bunch of groups coming for you. Because let me tell you something. You, like, even if someone is not canceled, if, like, for instance, the whole LGBTQ community were to come out against somebody, that's hard, because that then affects people's money. When whole communities like that come out and boycott, I mean, look at how Target was affected. The African American community has the highest spending power, but we don't have any other power. Like, with that type of spending power, it's because corporations know that regardless of what they say and do, people are still going to patronize those companies. And a lot of times it's because there's a monopoly on the shit. Like, as much as I don't want to patronize, like, Amazon, because I've pretty much stopped going to Walmart. But as much as I don't want to patronize Walmart or Amazon or these other big companies, it's like, where else am I going to get my stuff for a reasonable price? I could go to Costco for a lot of things, but then I'm going to have to spend more money and I'm going to have to buy in bulk. And then I don't want stuff to spoil. So, I mean, I love Costco. I love the stand that they took during that time when Target did not. But at the same time, like, I have to really, like, reel myself in when I go in that store, because I could go in there and I could easily spend $500. But Spirit is like, that abundance that you've been manifesting is here. And we want, and the reason, again, the reason is to put you in this unbothered energy, because you have to be able to step into your full leadership without, like I said, without worrying about the naysayers and the people coming against you and anything like that. So Spirit is like, we gonna look out for you. I said the naysayers, people coming against you. Yeah, because then you're ascending to that high priestess energy. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the live, like having ascension symptoms, like especially around this time. Spirit said, this is work that you've been doing since you were a child. You see how they look similar? This looks like the older version of this child. You've been a healer since birth. And 11 is attached to like earth angel energy, the energy of the sun. And you see all that sun behind him, and this is a masculine. But regardless of whether you're a masculine or feminine, you have been in this energy since birth. And you have been doing the work since you were a child. And that's why so many people have tried to put you in this spiritual, mental, emotional prison all of your life, because you have been speaking your truth, calling people out, breaking cycles, doing the work, being different, not a conformist all of your life. People, adults especially, don't know how to deal with children who are nonconformists. Now, unless the parents are, very well emotionally balanced and established and all of that, those parents will nurture that spirit in a child. But the majority of parents, because they're the ones not doing the work, they're the ones that their child had to incarnate because their bloodline was refusing to clear all of this bullshit out. They're the ones that get triggered by children who are in this healer energy from birth. Because a part of being a healer is having people, is like sparking awakenings in people and causing people to have to look at themselves. Because how else are you going to heal if you can't take accountability and look at yourself? So you're going to have children that are going to call your ass out. And it's going to be up to you how you respond. And we have unexpected money. So like, I feel like the unexpected money is coming within like maybe a week or a month, because we have like one pentacle here. And pentacles are slower moving, but I feel like in contrast, like from the money stacked up versus like the unexpected income, this is card 26 and 27. I feel like that there's some unexpected income that's coming in quicker because it's just one. And then this is like, because the money is stacked up, there's more money. And because pentacles are slower, this is the money that's been built up over time. So like Spirit is saying, there'll be some unexpected money that's coming in that's going to be on a smaller scale, but that's just in order to get you to where this is going to be overflowing. The divine is handling it. Like I said, this is what the divine looks like when they pour out an abundance on you. This right here is more of like earthly money, like an inheritance, or maybe you get a settlement from something, or maybe you get like a you even like lottery winnings. But this right here, this money that has been built up over time, we're talking about every cent that has been stolen from the divine over time. That's a lot of damn money, y'all. That divine energy, that divine abundance that's attached to that divine energy that you possess. When you're a divine being, that protection is unmatched. It's next level. And I feel like Spirit is saying, like, don't get distracted by these lustful energies that are coming towards you. Because you're single, sexy, and successful. These people operating from their south node that just want to come at you from a lustful standpoint. That's when you need to take a stand. When people come at you like that and you don't say anything and you just allow it to continue, that's sending a poor message to that person about how they can handle you and how they can interact with you. And sometimes it's just a matter of putting somebody on ice. It's a matter of, like, you know, energetically binding their ass up for a little while. And that could be just by you saying to them, yo, I'm not going to stand for this type of treatment. I'm not going to allow you to just hit me up when you want to talk about smecks. I'm not going to allow you to just sit here and beat me in the head about what you going to do to me physically. What are we going to do together to build an empire, nigga? Yes, sex magic is wonderful. But if you don't know how to manifest, if you don't know how to use sex energy to manifest, if we're not on the same page, if we're not setting intentions for ourselves, if you're not in your leadership energy, if I'm not in my leadership energy, what are we doing? All we doing is bumping uglies and possibly making babies. That's all we doing. I'm good on that. I need for somebody to be talking to me about how we're going to impact communities, how we're going to be philanthropists, how we're going to organize our money for our children's generational wealth to be set up. I want you to talk to me about trust, homie. Let's have some tea. Oh, let's have some tea or coffee and discuss trust accounts, family trusts. Let's talk about insurance policies that you can borrow from, that you can be your own bank and you can loan money from your insurance policy. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you can put all like a lot of money into these insurance policies. I know that they're called different things, but one of the ones that I know is called a PRA account. But you can put your money in there. You have to wait like 2 years before you can actually borrow from it. But let's say you put $100,000 in there. You can borrow from that for a down payment on a house. You can borrow from that to buy property. You can borrow from that to buy a car. You can borrow from that to pay your car off. And you set the interest rate. So if you're paying 4 to 5% interest right now, you could actually pay your car off with that and charge yourself 1% interest. That then you're paying yourself back, so you're not like beholden to anybody that's going to repossess your car, number one. And then number two, you're lowering your car payment and you're paying yourself back. So you're putting the money back in the investment vehicle, and you're also adding 1% or whatever percent to it, so that the next time you go borrow money, you have more money in there. And when the divine gives you this kind of wealth, you can set each one of your children up with like millions of dollars that they could then loan to other people. So they could tell other people, hey, I have, I'm offering a car refinance at 2% versus 5%. Now, of course, you want to properly vet people and make sure that they're going to pay the shit back, and, possibly have them show you documentation of their credit score or whatever. But you can be the bank and collect that interest instead of paying other people interest. You could be the lender and not the borrower. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a transfer of wealth where the last are becoming first and the first are becoming last. And you now are becoming the lender and not the borrower. And there's going to be a lot of animosity now. There's going to be a lot of people pissed off about this shit. And so that's another reason why the divine has to insulate you with real love and money. Because it's the masculine and feminine relationship that's going to be reestablishing like what true love looks like, and what true love and success and building the family back up looks like. This is no shade to same-sex relationships. You can do whatever you want to. There's enough heterosexual people out here to have, children or whatever. But there has to be, in order to, because there's such an upheaval in relationships, there has to be, the divine has to now restore the family unit. Because the way that relationships in general across all people, it starts with the family unit. It starts with the relationship that people establish at home from birth. And that's really low key, high key. That's the actual veil that has been pulled over our eyes. The wool, the veil that has been pulled over our eyes is the fact that the breakdown of society as a whole is the result of the breakdown of the masculine and feminine relationship, because everyone, including source, is comprised of masculine and feminine energy. So if you have a breakdown of the masculine and feminine as the head of the family unit, it just all the shit rolls downhill. Whoever is at the head is how the family is going to look. If the heads of the household, whether that's same sex or otherwise, if the heads of the household is looking broke, busted, disgusted, and defeated, that is how the children are going to be. And then in this energy, this breeds competition, envy, jealousy, comparison. Because when you just feel beat down by life, and then you gotta watch other people thrive around you, it causes people to want to do them damn destiny swaps and attacks and love spells and attacking people's gifts. Thank you for the likes. Yeah, like I said, destiny swaps, love spells, people trying to attack your abundance. When someone is trying to do some kind of spell work on your solar plexus, that's attacking your abundance. That is trying to attack your attachment to the divine, to your higher self. And Spirit's like, you can try, but you will not succeed. Thank you. Spirit said, you tried it, but we about to wake that ass up. And it's going to be a rude awakening. For some of y'all are waking up your divine masculine. And so I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. When your divine counterpart is going through an awakening and having to go through a tower moment, you don't want to be nowhere around. So if you ask me a question, will we reconcile? And I say yes, and that's all I say. And then you go and you look to reconcile while this person is going through an awakening, you're not going to like the result. I said you're not going to like the result. That shit going to have you so stressed the fuck out. Because that's like getting into a car with someone who's about to get into a car accident. And I mean, that's an extreme interpretation, but that's basically what the divine is showing me. It's like, if you had the option of not getting into a car with this person who you know is going to get into a total upheaval, you know, like maybe for some of y'all, that's a quick hustle, like for getting insurance money or something like that. We're not talking about that shit. Pipe down. We're talking about legitimately, actually, like knowing, okay, if I get in this car with this dude, we finna crash out. However that looks. Your ancestors, your spirit team, your higher self, they're like, come on, y'all. Please listen. This child has been on here channeling information for 3 hours exactly. Please listen. Please take heed. Cause we trying to level you up now. This is what your future looks like. And like Spirit is using the example of the car crash to be like, you have the option. There's 2 vehicles, 2 different people. You have the option of getting in the vehicle with the person who's going to end up crashing, or you could get in the car with the person who is attached to your abundance, or who your relationship holds a lot of abundance. So in one vehicle, you're going to be going towards destruction. The other vehicle, you're going towards your abundance. A lot of times, we go get in a damn vehicle that's going to crash. Because we're so fixated on, oh, I just want to be in a relationship. And 9 times out of 10, the person that's about to crash is trauma bonding with you. So they're going to circle back and they're going to profess their love and they're going to tell you how much they need you in their life and all kinds of shit. But for real, like, Spirit's like, get in your own fucking lane. If you need to, get in your own car. But one car is going to lead you to some fuck shit. The other car is going to lead you to your destiny. I said lead you to your destiny. And I said one was going to lead you to crashing out, destruction. In essence, blocking the road to your destiny. Now, that doesn't mean that it's blocked forever. But this is what that blocked road looks like. Because your abundance and your destiny is at the other side of the road. Your dream house. Your happy, healthy family. Your unified family, one unit. Spirit's like, we gonna let that sink in. Go on, think about it. Because both of those people and both of those respective vehicles look like love. It does. It looks like love. And both of them legitimately could potentially be love in different ways. One is like an unhealthy love attachment. The other one is an endearing, love story. And one could look like actual money. The other one might look like maybe they're, just making it right now and not in their overflow. And that one that's attached to actual money is the one that's going to crash. And so Spirit is like, you're going to have to make some decisions about, like, do you want that Shira 7 fast sugar daddy money? Confirmation. That's not really going to put you in the energy of restoring this family unit that I've been talking about. Restoring that genuine, authentic love. Because, I mean, you can marry somebody that has a lot of actual money and miss out on all of this money from the divine. Because Spirit is like, this is green paper money that looks good for right now, but the dollar, the value of the dollar is diminishing. The divine has stacks of gold for you. I want you to go and look at King Solomon's, how much King Solomon had in gold. This is natural resource. This is from the ground. Gold comes from like the lands of Africa, from the rocks or wherever. I don't know how they mine gold. I'm thinking it comes from the rock. But this is a natural resource. Even though this is paper, this is made up currency. So the divine is like, you can chase that made up currency if you want to, but this is that sustainable gold. Like, I really like the image that they're showing me is like the pyramids turning to gold. Spirit said, please don't be confused between the two. We trying to give you some clarity. We don't want you to take the wrong route and be confused between the two. Because when people start to see how much money you have from the divine that they missed out on, they gonna be heartbroken. Like, we passed on that person because we were looking at this other person as having actual money, when really that person, so we had a choice between this, what we consider actual money, and what divine abundance is. And a lot of times that's what happens. The high priest and high priestess is overlooked for the low-hanging fruit because they look like they can benefit them. And that's one of the things. I'm going to go back to the Lamar Odom story. He admitted that. He said, I wanted to be connected to the Kardashian name because I knew that that would put me in position for even more success and money. So I'm not, because she stood by him throughout all his bullshit, I'm not saying that it was a bad choice for that time period, but it kind of was, because the more money they got, the more attention they got, the more notoriety he was exposed to, the more he got entrenched in the addiction side of things. So it's like, what's the point of having NBA fame, stardom, success, a reality TV show with your wife, more money, more, things that you have going on, just to lose all of that shit because you damn near killed yourself trying to chase ass, basically. Ass and D-rugs. When them chakras are balanced, you ain't got to chase shit. You manifest what the fuck you want. And that's also the difference between this abundance and actual money. Because we're already going to cryptocurrency, and this actually looks like cryptocurrency. Like, we're moving heavily toward cryptocurrency because, first of all, money is nothing but numbers on a damn screen. Because if 1 minute we don't have the money for the food stamp program, and the next minute we got billions of dollars for a war, regardless of what the debt is. Now, if I run up my credit cards and I max them out and then I go ask for more credit, they gonna deny me more credit because they gonna be like, you pay your bills on time, but sis or bruh, your cards are maxed out. So there's something wrong here. There's some imbalance. There's money that's not being budgeted properly. Because credit, there's people on TikTok that teach about credit, and there's all kinds of resources for learning about credit. But credit is just to build your score, essentially. You're only supposed to utilize like 10% of your balance and pay it off every month before the statement date or something like that. So, like, maxing out a bunch of credit is to your detriment because you're ending up having to pay back way more money than you've spent because of the interest. So if all you're doing is paying the minimum payment, that interest is stacking up against you. It creates a situation where you may not have even maxed out the card, but because you're paying the minimum payment and you're only paying the minimum and that interest is stacking up against you, you end up going past your balance, the amount of credit that you have because of the interest. Even though you pay the minimum payment every month, it's still continuously stacking up against you. And so, like, the government can be in debt to all these countries and still use more money for a war. Whereas the average citizen, if you done maxed out your credit, you can't get nothing else. And you living paycheck to paycheck. Out here like, somebody please help. And those are the lies that we've been told. The lies that we have been told is go to school, spend money, get into debt, going to school, between the credit cards they offer these college students, the student loans, and all the debt. Then go get a job that's not even paying a living wage. So you're gonna have to get multiple jobs in order to afford the American dream. Get into more debt by getting a mortgage, which mortgage translates to mort gage, which means death grip. So now you've got a mortgage, you've got student loan payments, you've got credit card debt because you ran up all your credit to furnish your house. But Spirit said you can still get right back on the path. It's never too late. You're never too old. Time is not running out. And like I said, working hard for the money. It was never intended for you to work hard. You were supposed to be on Easy Street. But other people decided that they wanted a monopoly on all of these things, all of this land, all of these natural resources. And Spirit said that belongs to the divine, not y'all. Spirit's like, hello, that's our property. Those are our natural resources. And that's why I was showing earlier the contrast of that like death magic card and then that sweetheart card. It looked like the light and dark of Mother Earth. Because when you're out here graping the earth of this natural resources like gold and silver and oil and all these other things, that karma is way different. Thank you for the gifts and the likes. Hi, Golden Crown. So yeah, that karma is way different. When you start having all these conflicts with the divine, that's not how it works. Spirit said these people should be concerned that their time is running out. They like, oh shit, we've been fucking up this earth and now the damn aliens coming back. These ancient alien beings are coming back because the divine can trust them to do right by the planet and humanity. They're sent here on divine assignment for a specific purpose. Many healers. To take this planet back. So there should be a lot of concern. But I'm about to get off of here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the gifts, for the shares, for the reposts. Thank you to whoever was hanging out with me earlier. Thank you, Golden Crown. I will see y'all later. Have a great week.